Now, to take you further into the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, I'm joined by Anil Gupta, a professor of strategy, globalization, and entrepreneurship at the University of Maryland. I want to thank you so much for coming in. India and Pakistan, observers for 5 years, now going to become members.
Yes.
Well, they've always had friction. This is going to be an interesting one to kind of manage. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, there were kind of some speculation, over the last 10, 15 years since the SCO has been in operation, that this was going to evolve into some type of a military alliance. But actually, Mr. Xi himself, Xi Jinping, he said that, one should think of the SCO not as an alliance, but as a partnership. And what my conclusion is that the SCO is evolving away from, say, any type of a military type of alliance into really an economic organization. Also anti-terrorism, anti-drug trafficking. And if you look at on the economic side, I mean, energy is, of course, what binds a lot of these countries together, whether it is Russia and China, Russia and India, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan and India. And so I think that it's really the economic ties that are very important for India and Pakistan and, of course, the other countries. And the economic ties can continue to move ahead despite, say, geopolitical differences. And the other thing about the SCO is that from the very beginning, it was viewed by the founders as an organization that would help the members settle border disagreements. And if you look at India-Pakistan, India-China, so from India's point of view, if you look at the economic relationships, the border issues, the anti-terrorism issues, that all of those are very important reasons for India, but for exactly the same reasons for Pakistan to join the organization. So I think that's really what's happening.
I want to get to the economic side in just a moment, but with these new members, the observation's been made that this will represent half of the world's population, and Newsweek said this will demand closer attention from the West. Do you agree with that?
Well, I mean, of course, it brings half of the world's population together, but I don't think that means anything because, when the United Nations has a meeting, you have the entire world's population together, but, that doesn't necessarily mean that every meeting of the UN is kind of, incredibly important. But I think, and again, I'm also not in agreement that somehow this should be a concern for the West, because ultimately, there is no way that this is evolving into any type of a military alliance. In fact, Mr. Xi himself said so. But the incoming president of the SCO, the president of Uzbekistan, so he's the incoming, after the summit, he said, in fact, just yesterday, that under no circumstances, and it's interesting, he said, under no circumstances should the Shanghai Cooperative Organization become any type of a military alliance. So, if it is an economic organization, if it is anti-terrorism, if it helps resolve border disputes, I mean, that's something that's obviously a plus from the West's point of view.
Well, what about, Iran wants to join? Turkey's even said that they would like to join and perhaps not join the European Union. It just seems like maybe this is the club everybody wants to join. I mean, how does it kind of shift the balance in that sense?
Yeah, I think, I mean, or put it this way, actually, I think what's happening really, whether we look at the SCO, we look at the BRICS group, we look at, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership that's being discussed, or we look at the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or we look at the ASEAN, et cetera, that really kind of, it's an era of countries wanting to engage with each other more and more. And what we are seeing is this kind of a proliferation of these multilateral alliances. But it's not that they're one against the other, unless it's a military alliance. Then, of course, it's one against the other. But other than that, in terms of economic issues or border issues and so on, et cetera, I think the more the merrier.
And the Silk Road Initiative, very important to President Xi.
Yes.
Obviously, these are a lot of neighbors where if this is going to work, they're going to have to be involved.
Absolutely. In fact, I mean, as I would think that from Mr. Xi's point of view, there is massive complementarity between the SCO and the Silk Road, because ultimately, for the Silk Road Initiative to become a reality, it requires collaboration among all the countries, particularly countries in the Eurasia region. and you look at, in fact, all of the countries that are members of the SCO, including the new members, India and Pakistan, they're all actually involved and part and parcel of the Silk Road Initiative.
Well, any initiative like this that can bring India and Pakistan together, where there can be dialogue there, where there's been so many disagreements, everyone has to agree that's a good thing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Anil Gupta, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.